The Water Hub is a research, innovation and training centre. It is situated on a decommissioned wastewater treatment plant near the town of Franschhoek in the Western Cape, South Africa. It is surrounded by vineyards and connected to an informal settlement of over 6,000 residents, the latter bringing sharp attention to the developmental focus and context of the Water Hub. The informal settlement of Langrucht is characterized by compact living spaces, difficulties in accessing clean, safe water and sanitation services, along with poor drainage systems that impact on the quality of living and health. Contaminated water finds its way into the stormwater system and discharges into the river alongside. The riverbanks have succumbed to neglect and are overgrown with weeds and covered in plastic litter and other waste. Habitat is degraded, let alone public enjoyment of the river corridor. Contrasting conditions present a stark reality and highlight the challenges for the Water Hub, thus emphasizing the imperative of working together in a developmental space. These wine farms of Franschhoek are renowned for attracting thousands of visitors each year. The Water Hub is thus ideally situated to contribute to the visitor experience. The river flows past vineyards through the Water Hub and then discharges into the Franschhoek River along its western border. The old wastewater treatment plant no longer receives sewage. The Water Hub will modify and use existing infrastructure to introduce ways of treating contaminated surface water by using, for example, biofiltration beds, wetlands and ponds, settling systems, and floating wetlands. The challenge is to build new knowledge and understanding about efficiencies, performance, operation, and maintenance of these systems. These biofiltration cells are designed to treat a portion of surface and stormwater. Water quality is carefully monitored at each cell outlet. Restoration of the river will focus on rebuilding the banks, planting local vegetation, and establishing habitat with the aim of restoring ecosystem services, thus making room for the river to process and clean water naturally. The research office and reception building is already off-grid and fully functional. This research laboratory is an exciting learning space. We imagine a series of controlled tanks that will enable us to learn, for example, how microbial activity surrounding the roots of plants is capable of treating water. The laboratory will bring together scientific disciplines in a joint effort to deal with new questions and seeking new practical solutions. These oxidation ponds will be used for breeding fish and for extracting resources such as biofuels and phosphates. The hub must offer visitors an enjoyable experience of a nature park. This biodiversity pond is the final polishing element in the treatment train of water on its journey before it reaches the Franschhoek and Berg rivers. Clean water attracts people, bird life, and is far more capable of supporting a diversity of aquatic species and plants. This is a place for people to connect with nature and with each other, and is an ideal setting for weddings, conferences, workshops, and educational visits. Restoring the river starts at the hub and will extend slowly upstream. As it progresses, it will raise interest and invite the participation of local residents. The river is a powerful link between the hub and residents living upstream. Food gardens show simple, manageable techniques for growing food on a small scale. The vision is to grow food for consumption, but of such a high quality that local restaurants and hotels will no longer want to import food from further afield. These two large settling tanks form key structures for the business enterprise that will be used to generate a sustainable income stream for research. The restaurant will keep the innards of the old settling tanks intact as a reminder of a previous way of treating water. The neighbouring tank offers flexible space for conference and workshop activities. Viewed from above, the roofs of these tanks are decked with plants that filter and clean water. This technology is largely underexplored as an element of water-sensitive urban design. Visitors can access the rooftop and enjoy the stunning views of the Franschhoek Valley. Upstairs is a formal conference room for up to 250 attendees. Offices and breakaway rooms support the conference facility. It is also a space to test and demonstrate emerging water-based technologies. The invitation is for inventors, entrepreneurs and researchers to display products and to seek endorsements from the research community that might go a long way towards improving the prospects for bringing innovation to the marketplace. The final precinct is a set of living and working houses that demonstrate affordable off-grid units built to be resilient to extreme weather conditions and are efficient in demanding less energy compared to conventional housing units. In summary, the Water Hub is a bold new vision to establish a research and innovation centre of learning that will improve our understanding of technologies and, importantly, will improve our understanding of how people interact with these new systems. In addition, new knowledge and experience grounded in research will be transferred through hands-on workshops, practical experiences, and joint learning. These are critical ingredients urgently required for the development of skills and building capacity for the future. It must inspire a new generation who in turn will become increasingly confident to lead South Africa into a sustainable future. Building strong partners and partnerships is critical to the long-term sustainability of the project. Visit the website for more information.
Hello and welcome. I'm back again to the fourth and final day of the Co-Create Design Festival 2021 on-site tours. I'm your host Mel, and like I said earlier, we are in Franschhoek. We are at the Water Hub, people, and today we're talking access to water and sanitation. And at the Water Hub, the aim is to improve the quality of water, and at the same time, they offer education and training, which I think is incredible for South Africa. To our online viewers, just a reminder that you guys can ask us any questions. Make sure you put it in the chat. And first up, I'm ready for this, and I know you guys are ready for this. Dr. Kevin Winter, we want to welcome you guys. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, and thanks for coming out to the Water Hub.
Yeah.
It's a site that's very close to my heart. I've worked on it for about 3 years.
Amazing.
And it's super to have a whole crowd of people coming to visit and to ask lots of questions, I'm sure.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm ready for the first question because I want to know, and I'm sure everyone at home wants to know, what is the Water Hub?
Yeah, the Water Hub is built on an old wastewater treatment plant. And that's remarkable in itself because you never get wastewater treatment plants anywhere in the world that are abandoned. All of us know probably water hub sites, or rather wastewater treatment plants that become obsolete. They try to then upgrade them and they dribble along, and so we get lots of failures. But to actually abandon it and to allow it then to be used for research is what we saw as an opportunity. And we took the infrastructure that is here on the site and started to adapt it. And principally to say, how could we start to clean up the water? And later we'll go and see the stream nearby, which is coming off an informal settlement.
Amazing.
And it's highly polluted. And so how do we do this? How do we clean that water without adding chemicals, without adding more energy? And then how do we manage it so that we get an optimal performance out of that water and use that water productively as well? How do we make that water work for us in terms of growing vegetables, breeding fish, and growing other plants that might be useful for rehabilitating rivers and so on?
Beautiful. I think you did mention it now, but if you can just repeat again, why do you think is it significant to this area?
Well, I think it's significant in this area of Franschhoek, especially because the history of Franschhoek is one of inequalities and of apartheid city. So behind us, away from the site, is an informal settlement which is growing. There are almost 5,000 people living in that informal settlement. It's creeping up the mountain and it grows almost every day. And the other area further down the slope is formal houses, but this became a significant area of separation in apartheid in 1952. And the town of Franschhoek, the formal town, which is a very wealthy town, a lot of retirees and international investors there who are enjoying the formal functions of that town. Some of the best restaurants in South Africa are there, I'm told. And this is the place to get married as well.
Yes.
So it's a weekend town. Everyone comes out here to go and have their wedding on a farm and enjoy that facility. And of course, alongside that has been the tourism that's come into it.
Of course.
So now we have a town which is still remains separated. We have poverty on the one side of this town and relative wealth on the other side. And so when we look at it, why is this so significant to South Africa? Well, it's a microcosm of what's going on with our social and economic and political situation here. What a better place could you find than to do experiments in something that really does represent the South African landscape?
Brilliant. And so many people benefits from it.
Well, that's what we're trying to do here. And so we began by just treating water using nature-based processes to do that. And what we always had in mind, because by the way, and of course this is a group of people that we're with today and we're in a co-create conference, we're trying to look at how we treat water and how we reuse that water and so on. So everyone will be a little bit more on board about treated water, but it's amazing that people don't get excited enough about the process of trying to clean and treat water. So what happens is that people come here, they see it and they look at the biofilters and the way we're doing things and then go off and say, oh, that's very interesting. You're cleaning 80 to 100,000 liters of water every week here. So what are you doing with it? And of course, the next thing we really wanted to do was, how do we take that water? How can we look at the risks involved and be confident that we can use that water to irrigate food crops? And so we'll hear a little bit later from Solomon Zonke, who's from the informal settlement, from the Langrucht Community Forum. And he's helped me to build a partnership here with others who are now working on the site. We've had a new team come in last week and starting to build a social enterprise around this. And then we're doing lots of scientific questions on the site here as well.
Beautiful.
So behind me, and we'll get to it with the rest of the team later, in that we are breeding fish. Small fish are really helpful at this stage because we want to understand whether the fish can become our biomarkers, our indicators of what's in the water. They're a little bit like the sort of yellow canary that you send down into the mine. You know, if it doesn't come back, well, clearly the nitrogen levels and there's no oxygen in the mine. So you ought to be careful. Don't go down there as miners. And we're doing the same thing here. And of course, the fish are not being euthanized. We're literally just testing, scraping out some of the uptake of the compounds that are in here, because the water is very likely to have drugs and pharmaceuticals as well as nutrients and very high levels of bacteria. If we're going to make it a success of this, then we're going to need to make sure that water is safe.
That's correct.
And that's the main way of what we're trying to do here in the project. Clean the water first, then bring community involvement into it, start the business, and let's get a social enterprise which actually emphasizes a circular economy. We want the waste. So today, we talked early on today about waste and about the fact that we need to change our attitude and our behavior. But in actual fact, we need to change our whole relationship with waste as well. It's not waste, it's a resource which is really valuable to us.
The way you look at it.
And it's the way we look at it. And so we want Franschhoek's waste. In particular, we want their organic waste. Because we're starting to expand our farming. And in order to do that, we want to be able to take the waste, to be able to use bioreactors to improve that waste, quality of that waste, and then to either sell it, but also to use it on the farm here.
I love your thinking, such a solution mind, a way of approaching things. I want to talk about challenges. Any challenges that you've faced while trying to create everything that you're trying to create over here?
Well, I think always the challenges are finding institutional support. We're sitting on land here which belongs to the Stellenbosch municipality. They've allowed us to operate here. And so that's an in-kind contribution. We're trying to obviously influence some of the activities in this municipality in particular, which has great needs, particularly around cleaning water, for instance. So that's one of the areas we try to forge a better relationship with them.
Amazing.
But that is a challenge of trying to address that. Then the water quality that comes down here varies a great deal. The weekend water that comes down the river is very different from the water during the weekday, midday, for instance. And the water quality is different during the day in the early hours from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. And then later, when people come home, the water quality changes once again. So we are trying to change or treat water that is changing quite rapidly.
Wow.
And that's not easy for even formal wastewater management treatment,
Yes.
And that's again why nature and understanding how nature works is an important way to understand our ability to do that. So there's just two quick ideas.
Yes.
Funding, of course, is always the problem. And I run the site in terms of its building of its capacity at this stage, largely from research funds. And so I've got to be out there, mostly overseas funding that I have got to run the site, and then try and encourage South Africans like this to say, maybe what we can be doing is to create better demonstration sites. We want to be able to use it, as you said earlier on, Melissa, for training.
Yes.
We want to be able to demonstrate that what we can do is effective, and to make sure that there's a scientific backing, but also a community interest in it as well.
Correct.
That's key if we're going to make any of these decentralized sites work properly and provide the opportunities for the individuals who come in to work on the site.
Beautifully said. And then tell us, how has digital technology played a role in expanding the hub?
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things we've got on the site is it's Wi-Fi'd all the way through. So we have instruments on the site. We'll see some of those a little later, which are able to send signals to the back of my cell phone so that we know what is going on with the water levels, with the water quality, with the soil moisture. And we've just started to build that network. There are a few instruments around at the moment, but they're helping us to engage with the internet and build what we call the Internet of Things, which enables us to monitor better and monitor continuously as well. So that's very exciting, big innovation. We've taken almost 18 months now just to develop the material, to get the coding right. And once you've done all that in a laboratory, when you take it out here, it behaves differently.
That's
all
the
of
thing
the
with
IT
technology,
people
yeah.
smiling over here, because it's a real challenge to get that right.
Yes, for sure. And then tell us, what is the next phase or step for the hub?
Yeah, the next phase for the hub, and the most important phase for me, and probably the most challenging one, and I'm sure that Solomon will say a few more things about that, but it's actually engaging with community and building the social enterprise so that we can get a circular economy functioning. I'm really emphasize that the focus of what we're trying to do began with water, but it doesn't end there at all.
Yes.
It's about how we find that market and the circular economy and start actually treating in a much more sustainable way the way we treat in water, the way we recover resources from that water, and the way we manage in waste. And that should be where our livelihoods can be in a green economy. That's where our livelihoods can be so improved through job opportunities and through new education, upskilled people who have not had the opportunity to work in these kinds of situations.
Beautiful. And then in an ideal world, what does the future hold for the hub?
Yeah, ideal world, and you'll really need to go and look at the waterhub.org site. So it's called thewaterhub.org, and you'll see there the vision. It's a model of what it should look like. And I think we'd be a little bit further down the road had we not been involved in COVID.
Yes.
So our investors have run for the moment, and they will have to most likely be overseas investors. But here's an opportunity to run a conference center here, to run other means which would support the kind of community involvement that I've spoken about over here. So you need to look at the actual vision and the model to see what we've got planned here in terms of housing, in conference centers, restaurants, and so on. And we're in an area where the tourism is, during non-COVID times, is very high in this area. People want to come to Franschhoek.
Yes.
And down the road alone, every year, particularly, and it's almost right throughout the year, but certainly in the summer season, 25,000 people will come down this road
Sure.
here to the farm nearby, Rickety Bridge, and taste their wine. We want them to taste our water.
I love it. That is well said. You also offer education and training. I want to know more about that.
Yeah, sure. So this is a site that has been used by other universities, and it's largely around, and initially the research activity that take place here from other universities, where it's groundwater, working in hydroponics, and the things that are interesting students in chemical engineering, in social science, as well as in civil engineering and science. So it does offer that space, and it's a space that's really important because it's a living lab. It is at a level at which it takes students out of the laboratory and asks them to apply their knowledge and to see how it works. And I think that's what's really sorely missing in a lot of academic work right now and research.
So true.
And then the second thing is that we have lots of overseas visitors who've got to know this site quite well. So they come along, they often bring their students with them as well. And so we conduct tours on the site as well. And slowly what we are hoping to do with more community involvement is to get the local schools involved.
Amazing.
And that's for us the real prize.
The
It's not
future.
at the end of my list, but probably should be at the top of the list. And until we've now got more community engagement, I think that's where it's going to. And that for me is a dream.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Kevin Winter. You are incredible. Love your work. And I'm ready to call on a community leader, Mr. Solomon Songri. We want to welcome you to come and speak to us. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Winter. We'll call you back right about now. So here we've got Mr. Solomon Songri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You are a community leader who works with Dr. Winter. That's correct, yeah?
Yes,
Just give
it
us an
is.
idea of what exactly you do.
What I do, I'm a community leader. I'm a father of 5. So I live in an informal settlement, which is, I've been living in that informal settlement for almost 27 years now. So what I do, I've met with Kevin Winter, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. Through the project that we used to run, which was called Genius of Space.
Which was your project?
That was my project that we've done with Western Cape government, you know. So then our project was similar to what Kevin Winter is doing here.
Similar vision.
It's similar vision because we were working with grey water within our society. So looking at how people should dispose their water within informal settlement. Because this is the real reason that we have affected water within the river that Kevin Winter is testing here, because all that grey water comes from informal settlement. In that way, we've known each other from then.
Amazing.
So through our project, it was just a piloting project. Then we thought, okay, so we've designed the eco machines.
Amazing.
The machines you see behind you
That's so cool.
are part of the project of Genius of Space. Then we said, because we are just piloting, we will keep the eco machines with the water hub, because we have a similar vision, you know. So looking at maybe community will benefit out of it as the time goes on.
That's correct.
So it's a fortunate case that we Kevin called on me to say, okay, come, let's meet together and let's try to see how we can benefit community out of the project we do at the Water Hub. So that was exciting for me. So I started as just a forum at the community. It was just a communal forum because we wanted to change the idea of the government to say, we are a client, then we always oppose that to say you cannot be a client. The community should be a client, because we always make this kind of project. At the end of the day, who do you leave the project with? You leave them with the community. So who's going to take care of them, of the project when you're gone? To be honest, I should be the client, not you. So in that way, we started to work together. I was recognized as a client with my forum. Then as the time goes along, we decided, okay, we're going to, I think I should take this to the further step.
Yes.
To legalize our forum
Yes.
to be a non-profit organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, which as I'm the founder of the organization, of the non-profit organization.
Beautiful.
Our organization is legal now.
Great.
So in that way, so we can face the challenges legally, you know.
Yeah,
if
it's
it has
easier to
be.
work like that.
Exactly.
So please tell me, what does the Water Hub and its existence mean to you?
It means a lot because for me, if it's going to be a benefit of our society or the community, especially our poor community, because we have 3 divisions. If we live here, Franschhoek it's one of the wealthiest towns in the country, you know. So, but you will find the poorest of the poor within the same community, which is we are not that far distant. We are about 2 kilometers away from each other, but you can see
The
a
difference.
gap in between us. So in that way, if it means we will close the gap, because that's the aim, that we need to close the gap, and then the society can benefit in a way that they could use the site for their better living and also to own the gardens, also to start farming in such way, you know. So when he spoke, when Kevin spoken about fishes, it was a brilliant idea to say, okay, then it's an expansion of the garden, you know. So we've spoken about it. I've called a gentleman from Cape Town a couple of weeks ago. Then we even spoken about chickens, because we do not want to use tractors, rather use chickens in the garden to clean up the garden, you know. In that way we will get manure and the chicken will lay eggs. I mean,
everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy, so it benefits the community in such way.
Yeah, and tell me, what did the people think at first when you introduced it to them?
Yeah, people have been fooled several times, you know, so you get to doubt yourself when it comes to such projects.
Of course.
You start to ask yourself, does it benefit Kevin Winter because of the color of the skin, which is something that is so true at most of the time. So, but we said, okay, this time, me and Kevin, we've worked together before. We're going to make a change to say, Kevin is not going to be a lead, okay? But the community will lead, you know? So I am here to make sure if the community benefits what they deserve, you know, within the project.
And how do they feel about it now?
I think they're much comfortable now. I had students that I had with Kevin a couple of months ago, which I introduced to Kevin. They are doing agriculture at the university. They are on their 4th year, only to find out at the time of Genius of Space, we started as Genius of the People before we become Genius of Space. People are born geniuses, you know. It's not about qualifications. It's about the mentality that you were born with. It's a gift that you are given to be smart. Then the education only adds to what you already have, you know. So I strongly believed in that. If people are born geniuses, you know, so we all have talents. And I looked at the team that is here, which one of them who I gave a platform to say, you're going to lead. It's one of the students that I had on agriculture. I worked with Dutch, you know, with Holland. So I had students that Delphi, if people know Delphi, it's the biggest agriculture company in Holland. So the students were educated by Delphi. So I worked with those students. Then I said, well, just in case we need to have such kind of projects, now you're going to use your skill in this project, you know. So it benefits the ones who never went
everyone wins.
to the course.
How empowering, because it's cool, because you're giving a message of hope to everyone watching as well, you know, giving a message of hope to the people in the community as well. Then just the last one, what would you like to see happen for the community with a place like the Water Hub?
Oh, a lot, because if it means the community will stick on it and know that they are not here because they are employed. Okay.
Okay.
It's it's their garden, you know, because what we need from them is to say we own the garden, okay? Whatever
ownership.
comes out of that garden is going to benefit our society,
Yes.
which is in this community, everybody who sells veggies on the street, they go to Epping in Cape Town to
Yes.
buy their veggies. If we have such a place like Water Hub and we can grow our
Create your
own
own.
vegetables in our garden, we can go and sell to the markets around local, you know.
Beautiful.
So I think it's benefiting. The price will be cheaper.
Entrepreneurship.
And exactly, and there will be no expenses of transport. They wake up at 5 o'clock to go to Epping in Cape Town
Sure.
for their veggies. Now they don't have to do that anymore, you know,
Yes.
if we have such
Amazing.
an idea.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Solomon.
much.
We're going to
Thank
go
you.
to some questions right about now, and I'm sure there's some questions from our online people.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. We have one or two questions. In fact, this one I think you could possibly help us with, Solomon.
Okay.
Somebody wants to know, how have you convinced the local community to actually trust the treated water?
Yes, to us, we don't know much about science. Dr. Kevin Winter is the one who knows about science. We never knew if water is dirty. I grew up in a village where we used to get our water from the river. There are no water taps in a village. So for us, we survived for many years because we will dig in a sand and get our clean water from the river, you know. So we call it a clean water, though the cow is standing there and peeing in the water. So, but we always believe that water is clean, you know. But if we work with somebody like Dr. Kevin Winter, who will understand if the water is safe enough to do the irrigation in the garden. So that's what we believe on.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure,
you.
for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, just a question for Dr. Winter. Somebody online would like to know, what is the most effective nature-based filter that you have seen at the Water Hub when treating the water?
Yeah, great question. We use and have tried, by the way, and trialed 3 different types of media, including plants that are on top of this media as well. So when I speak about media, what I'm meaning is that we are using physical nature packing to use in these filters. And the filters that are the most effective ones are the larger stones. And the reason for that is that what we call biofilm or a bioslime that forms around these stones is the most effective in capturing the compounds in the water and particles in the water. And also they are able to harbor the best bacteria. Bacteria is actually our friends here, because the bacteria convert some of this water into chemicals that are taking, for instance, ammonia into and converting it into a nitrate, and we can use that much more safely on our gardens. So we've tested out different filters, we've tested out different plants, but ultimately the really effective element to this is deep down in the cells is where the action is taking place. It's not so much in the plants. Very little is taken up by them. It's really what happens down below in the microbial communities that are doing the work for us. And we've taken time to understand exactly how that process works, or as best as we can at this stage.
Any more questions?
Just one more, maybe for Solomon.
Solomon.
But Solomon, who actually maintains the area? I mean, who works here? Who are the people who are actually on site?
Yeah, in that I will leave it to Kevin because I believe Kevin has got a better answer than me.
Yeah, so we have one manager who lives on the site here, and that site manager is responsible for maintenance of the site, for site security. He does a lot of our sampling, so quite a wonder man. And Simpiwe, who's you'll see a bit later, some of you will have seen him a bit earlier, but he's our manager, controls it. We require a certain amount of funding to be able to keep him alive on the site and to communicate with us. And I couldn't do this without him, I have to say. There is no way that I could cooperate, manage the site from a distance. There's incredible talent, incredible initiative, and he wants to learn. after 3 years of working with me, still has a hunger for learning and for pushing the elements and boundaries of the site and what it can do. So, and if I can find one person like that, there must be hundreds others. Let's find the opportunities for them.
Wow.
Can I add up on
Please
what
do.
just Kevin said? Simpiwe is one of my neighbors. He's just a neighbor to where I live in a informal settlement. And I introduced him to the site actually because I could see the passion. He is a man who does almost everything, you know, to make that change, you know. So he's a straightforward man. He's very honest. And I'm quite happy to hear Kevin talking about Simpiwe in that manner. You know, Simpiwe is amazing. You know, so but I would love you to see him and you know, talk to him and see what kind of man he is.
That is incredible, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being the change you want to see. Thank you for giving hope to us all. I mean, water and sanitation is a tricky topic in a diverse country like ours, and creating access to good quality systems is crucial. You know, so we want to thank the Water Hub for hosting us, and we want to thank you all online for joining us this week. And let's work together and find solutions and take what we've learned from this festival and let's co-create together. Thank you so much.
Can I ask you one question?
You can ask me one question.
There's a man who works. Is going to work a team member who works in a garden. Can it be given even 1 minute?
Here we go. Please come and work quickly. Yeah, it's given 1 minute before we wrap it up.
Thank you.
You can hand him your mic.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
So please share with us who you are and what exactly do you do. You've got 1 minute to share with us.
All right. My name is Unati. My surname is Kiba. I'm staying here in Langreg. I started agriculture. I get the opportunity from Mr. Sol. Then we go into agriculture with BioDelta. Then I started there. Then from there, I have that passion. Then I start to do my own farming. I start to buy small pigs. Then I grow them up.
Wow.
Then again, Mr. Sol phoned for me and said, here's the opportunity.
Wow.
Come and practice what we have learned in BioDelta. So now I'm busy with the team. We are planting there.
Amazing.
Because we believe the riches in the soil. So
beautifully said. Well done, and wishing you guys all of the best. Thank you so much once again for joining us, and have an amazing weekend further.